Hello again, and if anybody doubts the accuracy of this statement, uh, well, all I can say is they haven't been watching gamblers on YouTube because there isn't a winner among them. It's fascinating. Okay, folks. So obviously, I need to have a very good explanation for why I've got a picture of two strangers. Strangers to me, that is. They're not obviously not strangers to each other. Um, but I've mentioned MG21 several times in my little videos and presentations and so on, primarily because of my admiration for the way that Max, as I know him, but in this particular video he's referred to repeatedly as Mark, the way that Max plays, and I've never had contact with him. We're not in any way connected. I'm rather sad about that, actually, because I think he's a brilliant blackjack player. Now, he wasn't back when this was shot, but he certainly is now. He had 3 seasons after this of playing what to me seemed to be advantage play. 2 shoes at a time, multiple sessions every season, as he called them, against a variety of casinos, but mostly in Florida. Absolutely brilliant stuff. I haven't done a full analysis of everything that he did back then, but from the analysis that I have had time to do, and it's reasonably extensive, I suspect, and cannot know for sure because I'm not in touch with Max, but I suspect that he's using very, very clever, or was using back then, very clever advantage play to basically bleed out a shoe until it turns positive. So in other words, like if he's got a negative count on the shoe, then he spreads out to 3 hands, bets flat on them, so doesn't vary his bets very much, maybe by a couple of hundred each way, but basically uses those extra hands to bring the shoe down to a positive value, a positive deck count, and then he drops to 1 hand and hammers it. He's by going from 3 bets to 1, he's not burning through the deck as fast, or through the shoe as fast as he was, and so he's maintaining or stretching out, if you like, the plus count on the shoe before it turns, and then he can then choose what to do after that, whether he wants to sort of like, with a sudden flurry of bad cards coming out, he might go back to 3 bets, 2 bets, whatever. But anyway, all of this is kind of irrelevant. What I've done here, because I can't use anything of Max's anymore, I dug around and found this video from 5 years ago, from 2018, and it's one of him and Sarah from All Casino Action playing a marathon session against a double deck. They keep referring to it as a shoe, but it is only 2 decks, so I think it's a bit fancy to call 2 decks a shoe. But anyway, that's what they do, and that's fine. I mean, it's their program, it's their video. They can call it whatever they want. They can call it, I don't know, giraffes or whatever, flamingos. But what I wanted to do was to transcribe the 2 sets of hands, and Mark sort of went, or Max, very confusing, went from 1 hand to 2 several times. He didn't bet as many double hand. He didn't bet twice. In other words, he didn't bet 2 hands very often, but he did from time to time. And what intrigued me was that once I transcribed the bets into Excel, into a model, it came out that it was virtually an even money situation, and because they were betting essentially randomly, they each came out at the point where I left. I did this for about an hour, and ended up with let's see, what are we talking about here? About 120, 122 bets altogether. Or rounds, I should say, because sometimes it was 3 bets and most of the time it was 2. So we're looking at a total of about 300 bets in total with the 2 players. So at the end of it, Max's left-hand bet showed a loss of 150, and his middle bet, or sort of second bet, much fewer, far fewer of those than of the left-hand bet, which obviously was active all the time, was plus 200. So I mean, he was out just 50. And then Sarah, with her bets mostly 50, came out at 25 down. I'm not exactly sure that I've got all of their bets right, because they don't always state them. And the camera angle that Sarah uses is not great for seeing whether there's 200 or 300 when it's black chips. All of that is kind of like immaterial, because in the end, when I apply pattern betting rules, by the way, which can be seen by anybody in any number of the videos that I've posted to the channel, with me playing exactly the same strategy, the same set of rules as I've applied here. What happens at the end of that with pattern betting in play tells an entirely different story than what happened to Max and Sarah. Max and Sarah were betting randomly, or basically flat. And so their result
I'm sure somebody's going to tell me, well, you should have done that to start with, but this is a process.
Okay,
it's got to be a process for all of us. I think that anybody who's going to benefit from pattern betting has got to put in some time and some work and some effort and some commitment.
The net actual value, or AV,
because this is not playing a game. This is serious business. Every bit as serious as the business of taking your money, which the casinos are dedicated to. No difference. Do with utmost professionalism and determination
pattern betting.
And we'll find as many ways as they possibly can to encourage you to part with your money quicker.
There's nothing complex about them. They are
anyway
completely explained in all of those blackjack videos that I've put up so far. So there's no deviation.
The situation with
and let's go to the very top.
Bets there are 124.
You can see
his left
what's going
section,
on
which
here.
means 124 for Sarah as well. I haven't bothered with the middle bit because there's just not enough of bets, and also it gets in the way of what's already there
for Max.
So
26,000.
I think
for me.
The facts that we need to consider are amply covered.
Mark lost 150
right up
on
there
his
in
left-hand bets
through
pattern
J,
betting won,
so we can see that
200.
Max's average win was 255 and his average loss was 240. So that's 106% win over loss, which is a pleasant surprise. I would have expected them to be about even, but there you go. I don't always get what I want or what I expect.
Pattern betting.
I'm used to that, and I
roll half as much.
I certainly
came out with a profit of
what I expect all the
850
time with the strategy.
On the Sarah side,
analysis
of
will
things,
throw something at me that comes
we're
as
looking
at look at that.
I have a feeling
anyway,
that Sarah
for pattern betting, the average
$100
$384,
$75 and $100
average loss
which I haven't factored in.
So that's
my bad.
Average win over average loss.
In the end,
it's irrelevant.
Achievement of
164%, which is
but I
pretty
wanted
bloody
to
good.
demonstrate
Let's face it.
Sarah
on the
basically
other side,
broke even.
Sarah's average win
and,
was $67 and her average loss was
betting.
$60.
My little baby
gone through
bet a lot more
the
than
notebook
her,
again,
that's for sure.
Because
Thrown
as I
in
say,
where
she
she
basically
basically
stuck
where
with
she went to
$50, which was very rare. The part of the session that I'm concerned
she ended
with,
up
which
with
is
an
about
average
the
win,
first
as I
hour.
said,
67.
She bet
60
a
average
total of
loss,
6,200. I bet
slightly better than
28,600.
but for me, for pattern betting, 3,712 minus 218, or 13%, a difference of 143%.
She lost.
This is basically
$25,
I mean,
or less than
if you're
half
playing
of
against a game with about a
of her total
sort
action,
of
so
like
that's
1 1/3. That's the big percent negative expectation.
All of
in other words, percentage against
to
you.
me,
Then you need
extremely relevant
to bet
the
in
whole
such a way that you
challenge
come out
of
about 25%
beating the
ahead.
house.
In terms of
it's easier to beat the house, obviously, when you have a sort of
but that's not
a
entirely
50-50
your
situation,
control, obviously,
because
you don't know when you're going to win and you don't know when you're going to lose.
Hands compared to the number that you win, and I should do a
that's
count
kind of
up here
optimum.
actually
If you can achieve
exactly
higher
how
than
many
that,
wins and losses,
then all to the good.
Because it's obviously
so
going to be the same,
as I said,
for
312 plus
for all of
minus
us, but it'll
218,
tell a different story
43%.
when
and that's the name of that tune. Alexa, shut it up.
But
so
what you've got here,
and I've had so many people say, just turn the bloody thing off. Well, I can't,
very
because I depend on it. I'll completely collapse if I don't
for my benefit, but because
Alexa telling me when to drink
take
water,
care,
and
if I don't
when to do this,
apply
I have to do the sums.
very
So if I turn her off
to my own
then I can't do the sums as easily. Never mind.
The way
it's
to beat the house.
It's my ball.
Everything that I've done for many
like I always
years,
say,
I don't even like to think about it. It becomes kind of
please understand. I'm not criticising anybody's
accuracy is
playing
is
this,
a
I'm
very
just saying
great
that
importance.
It's win.
as
It
important
doesn't
as anything
win.
else. To be
It
honest.
can't win.
So
I'm just trying to get
I do
across
find mistakes from time
whole
to time.
thing about
Now,
it
talking
is
to
so
you right here and
simple.
now,
If
I
you
can see
bet
that there's extra
progressively,
information
you
that
have
I should
a chance
I should put in
of winning
at
long
the top
term.
of this
If you don't,
of this
you don't.
tab.
It's that simple.
And I will do that.
There's
but anyway, let's go and have a look at something which I think is really
all this already.
useful. Just
far
dodge
smarter
over
than
to
I am, or
the
people
to the right,
who crunch their numbers
the
for them
light
are
green
much brighter
line
than
down
me,
below is
and they
Max
know
or Mark
everything.
and Sarah
come down the pike at them, and they're
basically
ready for it.
breaking even.
And
The dark
they
green
pretend
line
that
is
they're
pattern betting.
entirely confident that
its performance
the house advantage
over
of their
across
games
the exact same hands.
deliver a profit,
no difference whatsoever. I'm not sneaking in any extra wins
not frightened of anything,
or killing off any losses or ignoring
they
losses,
are constantly fighting
or
against anybody who is
using
my
foreknowledge
consistent winner
of
so
the
there you have it. Anyway,
of the
I'm
hand's
done now.
results
Bye.
to cheat. The strategy, as I say, the strategy applied here is precisely what is available to everybody to double check on the videos that I've put up, and the number of those is increasing all the time, and I will be putting up more and more, and I'll be playing more and more sessions of blackjack. And occasionally I have people saying to me, well, you know, all of this is meaningless because you're not playing with real money. Well, the fact of the matter is that if I were playing with real money, then I would have a very hard time recording it, because if there's one thing that in my day casinos absolutely did not allow, was any kind of recording of play at the tables. I'm now living in the UK. I lived in Nevada for I don't know, damn near 30 years, and I was a regular in casinos in Nevada for nearly 40 years, for 38 years. So I know what I'm talking about. I'm not making this stuff up. I absolutely agree that the perfect situation would be able to record this session, this strategy being played in a real casino on camera, and I have no doubt that at some point I will get back to that. But after deciding that what I needed to do was graduate, step up from a blog on Google, which has been in existence for about 15 years now, to a channel, the Pattern Betting channel, you know, since I started that, I've really had no time for anything other than making sure that everything that I put up is current, is accurate, is easy to understand, and also, I have to admit, I'm well aware of this, of no interest at all to the vast majority of gamblers. And you know, and I've settled on the kind of the mantra that gamblers gamble to lose and players play to win, because that's what I've believed for all the years that I've been going to Las Vegas. I mean, it is not Las Vegas, because I was, I lived near Lake Tahoe, so I was in the State Line casinos all the time. I was in local casinos. I was in Carson City and Reno, sort of not on a daily basis, but certainly multi times a week. I would sometimes go into town to pick up a paper or to do grocery shopping or whatever, and I would stop at one or both of the casinos in town, my little local town, and play there. And I used to meet a buddy for lunch at least twice a week, and I would always say to him, okay, well, I'll get there a bit early because I'll put in a few minutes of blackjack and see if I can win lunch. And if I did win lunch, then I'd pay for both of us. And that was most of the time. So he was very happy. I mean, it's I mean, the dealers in my local town used to say to me, "Oh, not bad for 20 minutes in the office or whatever," because they all figured out that I wasn't doing this for fun. I was enjoying myself. I loved my relationship with the dealers and the banter back and forth and the whole thing and the gossip that I would get from them about what was going on with people that I knew and places and people that I was interested in. I would get, every time I went in, I'd get a little update about what was happening. One of them was a casino which was rapidly expanding and was very successful, and then the other one was a little tin pot casino which was run by a Serbian gentleman called Sharky, who was fascinating. He had a son whose name I can't remember now, but he looked like, I don't know whether Desperate Dan ever made it into comics in America, but certainly he was a big feature in comics in England when I was growing up and consuming comics at a brain-damaging rate. He was in Beano, I think. Desperate Dan was a gigantic guy who ate cow pies, which was sort of served up to him with the horns sticking out through the crust and that sort of stuff. And that's what, oh God, what was his name? Anyway, he was kind of like a gentle giant, the son, but he was certainly intimidating. And I'd go in there. That's where they had a great restaurant. They did the best steaks in the world, and they were dirt cheap. But I would go in there and I'd spend 10 minutes at a blackjack table, and which they've now don't have because the whole thing was bought by another company and ruined. It's now just slot hell, but it still has a good restaurant, I'm told. But anyway, all of this is digression. The most important message that I'm trying to get across here is, I played very, very carefully against exactly the same outcomes as, Max on the left-hand side and Sarah on the right. And all of the bets can be seen here. There's no opportunity to hop the way that I do in Baccarat. So after 3 consecutive losses, I drop to the table minimum and stay there until I win, and then go back to what the bet was before. And I'll say it yet again, all of this can be seen in any of the blackjack videos that I've posted to date. From a simulation, I'll grant you that, but a very good one, the Wizard of Odds blackjack simulation. I have no control over that. I have no connection with Mike Shackelford whatsoever, other than using his sim from time to time and sending an occasional rude email to him if he says something that I think betrays his professional side as a shill for casinos. But anyway, all of that quite relevant. He seems to me like a lovely guy, so that's, and he's quite brilliant as a mathematician, no doubt about that. And his sim is very handy to me. So anyway, this is the first lot. You can see that. And then let's go down a little bit, and you can see more of those, and you can stop your video wherever you want, and you can have a look at what I'm doing. Totally consistent with the rules at all times. Down again, same story. And yes, Sarah, I've done you wrong because I haven't put in your 75s and 100s, and I will fix that. But it doesn't matter because the changes were random. So, you know, I can pretty much guarantee that it's going to come out the same way. I think Sarah said at the end of the session that I recorded, where, you know, when there was a shuffle, I think she said that she was down, she was even. And I'm just going back through my notebook here. Yeah, she was even, and Max said that he was down 200. That was in that video, which I will provide a link for. That was at 1 hour and 1 minute 36. So Max said he was down 200, and Sarah was breaking even. So, you know, I'm being a little bit kind to Max and a little less kind, to the tune of $25 to Sarah. So I'll fix that at some point, but it is not relevant, you know, in the big picture, because what we're looking at is pattern betting played against an even data set, which is all of these hands that these two played in that first hour, and you can see the outcome, which is quite simply very different for pattern betting than for Max and Sarah, who I would like to thank at this point. They haven't given me permission to use this this data, but on the other hand, it's in a public forum, so why would they object? They put it out there, and if people want to use it to whatever, I mean, let's not go there. But that's what I'm about, is just from time to time picking up sessions that other people have played, and I've done it with Jason Bulkey's play, which is one up from here. You know, in that situation, and if you visited this before, you'll know that pattern betting won 23% of its action, or held 23% of its action, and Jason did a very creditable, very decent 10%, but then expectation was right up there, because it was a positive data set. So, you know, that's the difference. And just to revisit the charts for Jason, you know, he again is the light green line, and he did great in the first 8 hands, and then that was as good as it got for him. You know, he just tapered off. Was beaten by, as you can see, you know, to the right of that, you can see the red line chart, and that shows why it was that after hand 8, Jason didn't exactly go in the toilet, because he held on to half of his profits, but he didn't do great. The dip for pattern betting is kind of frustrating for me, because Jason, and I've explained this before, but Jason did something that I never do. He walked away in the middle of 2 recoveries. On the left-hand bet, there was 2,700 that was due, that needed to be recovered, and you know, but then of course he doesn't bet in any kind of logical or strategic way, so he doesn't care. He doesn't even know, probably, and that's fine. You know, I mean, I have to stress, I'm not criticizing anybody's play here. I am simply saying that there is an alternative to betting randomly against random outcomes. And if you think about it, betting randomly against random outcomes has got to be doomed, because you've got this whole thing about, you know, if you're just sort of like betting emotionally, or I don't know, up and down based upon I don't know, sort of how awake you are, or how happy you are, or whatever, and using no strategy whatsoever, then you might zig, for want of a better way of putting it, when patterns zag, and you zag when they zig, and that means boom, your money's going to run out. And what I want to do is just apply, and again, you know, you can look at these rules. It's a different Max here, because he was betting 500 minimum, whereas over here, where Max and Sarah were playing, you know, the most that Max bet at any point was 300, I think, and the most that Sarah bet at any point was 100. So, you know, That's the difference. But anyway, just going over to the charts again, you can see a big difference between the performance of the two methods, and you can see why it was difficult for Max and Sarah to make any money at all. They basically broke even after an hour, and in the second hour they went seriously into the toilet. I think Max ended up 1,700 down, and Sarah was about 700 down. I'm not absolutely certain about that because I wasn't really paying attention. I thought an hour is enough. Oh, Max down 1,800 and Sarah 750. See, I take notes even when I don't know it. It's a lifelong habit. So there you have it. That's it. I hope that somebody somewhere is getting something out of this. I know I am, because I just love every opportunity I can get to get confirmation that this is a viable, consistently successful strategy. And don't misunderstand me. There are times when it gets tough. There are times when it's really hard to make money, but the strategy always prevails because it's backed by a big fat bankroll, and it's also backed by my absolute determination to stick with it and to plow through the bad times. And the bad times are very much in the minority. They come up occasionally, and I've always had the inclination to back off when I get into a stressful situation, not because I think it's going to improve my luck, but simply that I think it'll improve my mood and my temper. And I consider sort of mood, attitude, and so on to be crucial to beating the house. If you don't feel comfortable, if you're not happy, if you're hungry, if you need to pee, blah 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 blah, don't play, because the games are going on all the time, and nothing changes if you back off for a bit. I will certainly say that many times I've walked from one table where I was getting hammered, wrecked, as Vegas Matt likes to say, to another where it was like going from hell to heaven. I've also gone from hell to worse hell from time to time. This is inevitable. We're talking random shit here, Anyway, I've been waffling now for half an hour, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to put this up, and like I say, I hope it's useful. And thanks for your time. See you with the next one. All right then. So I just tidied things up a little bit. I'm sure somebody's going to tell me, well, you should have done that to start with, but this is a process. It's got to be a process for all of us. I think that anybody who's going to benefit from pattern betting has got to put in some time and some work and some effort and some commitment. Because this is not playing a game. This is serious business. Every bit as serious as the business of taking your money, which the casinos are dedicated to, and do with utmost professionalism and determination, and will find as many ways as they possibly can to encourage you to part with your money quicker and in larger amounts. Anyway, just to wrap this up, I've calculated the situation with Mark's bets. There were 124 in his left-hand section, which means 124 for Sarah as well. I haven't bothered with the middle bit because there's just not enough of them, and also it gets in the way of what's already there by way of information. So I think the facts that we need to consider are amply covered right up there in column E through J, where we can see that Max's average win was 255 and his average loss was 240. So that's 106% win over loss, which is a pleasant surprise. I would have expected them to be about even, but there you go. I don't always get what I want or what I expect, and I'm used to that, and I roll with it. I certainly get what I expect all the time with the strategy, but every so often analysis will throw something at me that comes as oh, look at that. Anyway, for pattern betting, the average win was $384, average loss $233. So that's a average win over average loss achievement of 164%, which is pretty bloody good, let's face it. On the other side, Sarah's average win was $67 and her average loss was $60. I've gone through the notebook again, and I've thrown in where she bet 100 and where she went to 75, which was very rare. But she ended up with an average win, as I said, 67, 60 average loss, 111%, slightly better than Max. For me, for pattern betting, plus 312, minus 218, a difference of 143%. And this is basically what you've got to aim for. I mean, if you're playing against a game with about a 1 to sort of like 1 1/3% negative expectation, in other words, percentage against you, then you need, if you can, to bet in such a way that you come out about 25% ahead in terms of win value, average win value over average loss value. But that's not entirely in your control, obviously, because you don't know when you're going to win and you don't know when you're going to lose. But that's kind of optimum, and if you can achieve higher than that, then all to the good. So I'm at, as I said, 312 plus and minus 218, 143%, and that's the name of that tune. Alexa, shut up. So. Yeah, and I've had so many people say to me, just turn the bloody thing off. Well, I can't, because I depend on it. I'll completely collapse if I don't have Alexa telling me when to drink water and when to do this, and I have to do the sums, and so if I turn her off, then I can't do the sums as easily. And never mind, it's my ball game. So, like I always say about other people's channels, I mean, please understand, I'm not criticizing anybody's playing method. I'm just saying that it won't win. It doesn't win. It can't win. So I'm just trying to get across this whole thing about it is so simple. If you bet progressively, you have a chance of winning long term. If you don't, you don't. It's that simple. There's a problem because casinos know all this already. They're far smarter than I am, or the people who crunch their numbers for them are much brighter than me, and they know everything that can come down the pike at them, and they're ready for it. And they pretend that they're entirely confident that the house advantage at their games can deliver a profit, can fatten their bottom line, and they say they're not frightened of anything. Well, they bloody well are. They are constantly fighting against anybody who is the enemy, and that's the consistent winner. So there you have it. Anyway, I'm done now. Bye.